Hi, I'm HME News Executive Editor, and I'm here today with Ward Cook and Alan Cross of Allegro Medical, a billing service, and we're going to talk about high technology and the home medical equipment industry. Lots of high tech in respiratory, complex rehab, but there's also a lot of business applications and uses for high tech that providers should be using these days, Wade. And just talk a little bit about that, Ward.
High tech in my world means the internet, usage of the internet. We do a billing service, of course, at Allegro, and we use computers and software to do that, but we publish those results on the internet so that our clients can see what's going on with their billing. In other words, they can see what's been billed, what's been paid, and so forth and so on. And the new thing we're developing now with Alan is the virtual compliance officer, where they can actually have their company stay in compliance with the help of an online compliance officer.
So you guys are a high-tech company in a sense. But you know, when it comes to high-tech, do providers look to this enough, or do they try to do too much with old technology and old ways?
More often than not, they use the old technology in old ways. And here's why. You've got, Susie over there in accounts receivable, and now the HME company has to be compliant. Now they've been accredited, and they have to be compliant. So Susie, we need to do a couple hours a week of doing this compliance stuff. Well, Susie doesn't know what she's doing. How can she? Yeah. So you've got to go to something that knows what it's all about and being compliant. Alan has been a surveyor for years, and he sees this stuff.
Yeah, what do you see, Alan, when you go out there and survey providers?
Well, it's getting back into the technology. Companies are being asked to do so many things with fewer and fewer and fewer people. So you're beginning to look at technology as a way to accommodate the compliance issues, the accreditation issues, and also even help you in the clinical world. We're seeing more cell phone technology now being used to determine compliance in CPAP. But in the accreditation industry, you still got to do your fire drills, your performance evaluations, you've got to follow up on your disaster plans. So many things are being required to be done by fewer and fewer people. Technology is going to be the only way they're going to be able to get something like this going and keep it going within their companies.
We hear about doing more with less all the time, and that technology really is the key. Do you think the majority of providers are getting that message from your work as a surveyor?
I think what's happening with the accrediting agencies is they're given a set of standards by Medicare. Medicare says you've got to survey for this, and they go out and do that. But in addition, each accrediting agency has their own nuances of how these things should be accomplished, and also their own idea in what determines quality of care. So you've got these basic standards that are coming into the accreditation agencies from Medicare, and then you've got their own input from their accrediting agencies as to what should happen clinically, what should happen in the business sense. So, and all the companies, because of reimbursement, are shrinking down. Yep. And all of a sudden, the company that had the compliance officer doesn't have them anymore. The company that had a big HR department doesn't have it anymore, and it's falling back to the office manager or their designatee. Oftentimes, somebody that's not trained in that particular area.
Yeah. So is it? I wonder with a lot of providers, they think of it's probably expensive or high tech. Like you said, the internet is big, cell phones. There's a lot of things that have worked their way into daily life that maybe providers should be using in their own business?
Well, that's correct, because it is expensive to have in-house personnel be compliance officers, for example, but it's very inexpensive to do it online with an online service.
Yeah, is that how you guys came up with that idea?
Precisely.
Because I think it is new. I've never heard of an online compliance officer.
Brand new.
In the industry.
In this particular industry, in other industries, you have to look at compliance is critical in heavily regulated industry. Your banking industry, your finance industry, manufacturing industry is very heavily regulated and have been working with compliance for years. The medical equipment industry also becoming extremely heavily regulated, but this type of specialty, if you will, just isn't here right now. And we think we're kicking off for the first time.
Do you get a sense that is the HME industry more regulated than other industries, like say banking or whatnot, or is
Not
it just
yet. No. Not yet, but it will be, because the government has cracked down on the HME industry and mandated that everybody become accredited. And once you're accredited, how do you stay accredited? You have to be in compliance, and you have to document that compliance. That's what this website does for you.
It's interesting because we always the industry always feels like there's more and more regulation put upon it, but I guess we should expect more. If we're not as heavily regulated as some of these other industries, we're probably going to get there.
The light will come on with CMS eventually, that they have to give us more credence in the HME industry, because it's way cheaper to keep a patient at home than to put them in the hospital. Yeah. So they're attacking us in some ways because we don't have the big lobbying groups like the physicians do. Nevertheless, they understand that it's cheaper to keep patient at home.
You know, I'm amazed that there are industries more regulated than HME, because I read these regulations stuff, I'm like, holy smokes, look at all this stuff, but it could be worse.
Oh, it could be a lot worse.
Absolutely, and the unfortunate thing in an interview like this, it's very difficult not to jump on your soapbox all of a sudden, because a lot of things that have happened to us are punitive in nature, quite often not warranted, but because of a few, with the rest of the industry is getting kind of what you're saying, we're getting painted with the same broad brush. And that's unfortunate. So what's happening in many cases, it is punitive, but it's not necessarily all that bad in other instances.
Right. Well, good luck with the new venture, and that is interesting. And thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate it.